you always want to know how your group and your organization is going to react when things don't go perfect. And I think especially with the fact that it is still a young team, and I think we still have to continue to learn how to go through this. There are teams in the league that handle it very well, and they're usually teams that have got a lot of collective experience together. So I think every time you go through a stretch where you maybe miss your expectation by a little bit, or your puck's not going in, or you're not winning as many games as you think you should, gives you a great opportunity as a group to examine where you're at and how we can deal with that better. So that's all that I really look for. I don't get too up and down by any stretch, not too high when we won 3 games last week or low right now. We show great stretches throughout where we play great hockey. It's just becoming a team that does that more and more often.
What have you learned about that group in the first 20 games, Kyle?
Ooh, wow, how much time do you have? Lots. I mean, we've had some great moments. We've had some guys step up, maybe that you didn't expect to as quickly as possible. Whether you look at Mikheyev or Kerfoot coming in, or Justin Hall, which have been great. And then we've had some stretches where we haven't met what we wanted to do, and we've had stretches where we've dominated games, even stretches of the game last night in New York where we show ourselves and everybody else what we're fully capable of, and it's just trying to continue to carve out a way that we can do that more often. And I don't think that we're too far off of doing that by any stretch.
Where would you most like to see improvement?
I think if you look at the game last night, Chris, I think there were long stretches of the game at the start, and then in the second period as well, where we were excellent, where they didn't really seem to be able to get out of their end because we were coming at them wave after wave on every shift. And every time they would take possession of the puck back, we'd be tracking back, and then our D would be spaced well, and we really prevented them from getting up the ice. And then I think when something doesn't go our way, we don't get a bounce, or a puck bounces and it ends up in our net, just not getting back on our heels and continue to stay on our toes and stay in attack mode and being able to deal with that stuff better. That, to me, is what I look for. I think a lot of the other stuff, with special teams or otherwise, is largely percentage driven, and it'll, as long as we're continuing to work at it as a collective, that'll improve. But the thing that I would like to see is just when we're at our best, being able to continue to sustain that when things necessarily don't go our way, and I think that's what we'll look for here in the next stretch.
In a perfect world, Kyle, I don't know if you define it as that, but the usage of the backup goalie, and you want Freddie to have probably a little more rest than he's had, but what comes first, the play of that backup goalie, the person you have there, the rest that Freddie should be getting, and where do you sit on that issue?
Well, I think the especially early in the season, you want to try to get Freddie into a groove and have him feeling confident and comfortable. So when you sit at the beginning of the year, I know Mike and Steve Briere sit and go through it, and we all talk about it and set up a way that we want to handle it at the beginning, and then we always reevaluate where we're at and what we're looking to do from that point on, Terry. And I don't think with Hutch, I don't think we played particularly well in front of him for stretches and made it difficult on him, and it sucks for him, right? Because we feel we have to make a move and give Casimir a chance because of the way that he played with the Marlies, and he really earned that more than anything else, right? But and we'll see how it goes here now, and I think we don't want to run Fred into the ground. At the same time, if he's in a groove, we want him to continue to establish that and do right by him in the long run, but by also allowing him to get to the point where he feels he's at his best, which I think he's certainly getting to now.
Are you keeping your eye out for veteran goaltending?
No, I think not right now. I know that's a big topic, but with Kaskasuo, he's been a player that it wasn't necessarily made easy for him at the beginning with the Marlies, with being assigned to Chicago when we had Sparks and Pickard here, and then since then he's really, after he came back from injury last year, he had an excellent second half for the Marlies and helped them out big time, and then was excellent in the playoffs and has had an excellent start to the season. So he's going to be turning 26 years old, or just did turn 26 years old. So he's earned the opportunity, and we'll let him run with it here and then evaluate from that point.
And which stock?
I think Cody's an interesting one. He seems to, I think, frankly speaking, because of, I think it goes back to the war between data and subjective scouting, he seems to be a very polarizing player. But I think, and so it's been interesting, even when everything underlying about him has been relatively solid, especially when you consider his usage. There seems to be every tiny thing that he does becomes a referendum on whether he's good or not, which is mind-boggling to me, because if that would have been done by subjective-oriented hockey people in the past, the objective people would have jumped all over it. Now the inverse seems to be happening, and it's Cody that seems to be the player that it's happening about. And I think, you know, every defenseman that plays that much and plays in that role is going to have mistakes. You play against the best players in the league; they're good players. Every defenseman in the league, no matter how good they are, if you play against the best players every night, you're going to have, time to time, you're not going to look your best. But I think he's been a good addition for us, and has played above expectations from when we acquired him, and we're very happy with him. Tyson, I think it's 20 games in, and I've got a lot of belief in him. He continues to show signs of what his form can be, and what we knew when we were acquiring him, and we just want him to continue to work and get comfortable here and find that. And I think, in the last number of games, he's shown more and more of that, and I'm excited about the rest of the season for him, because we obviously know the player that he is. And with all these guys, as we've talked about in previous years, there's an adjustment period, and they all have to go through it, and some it's easier than others. And I think especially with someone who's been someplace and had success for so long, I don't really read too much into the early part of it. I look for the positives, and there have been a lot of them there lately, so I think good things are about to happen.
How much stock do you put into where the team stands at American Thanksgiving? You know the numbers, right? Mostly the teams are in the playoffs, remain in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time in hockey, because you have that on one hand. On the other hand, you have the St. Louis Blues last season, so there's some recency bias with them. I more look at, not in terms of where we stand. When we wake up this morning, I know it's always easy every day to look and say, okay, where are we today? But I think the underlying things that I'm looking at are, how are we playing when we're at our best in a game or in a stretch? Is this the type of team we feel that can reach its potential and can play the way we want? And I do feel that way. So I don't know. Maybe ask me at American Thanksgiving or whatever the next time we get together. But I'm not going to look at American Thanksgiving and think it's more important than the actual way that the club's playing. That's always the most important thing to me.
Why did you always think that Justin Hall could get to the level he's at now? Mike was just praising him as being a big part of what you guys have done so far.
Justin Hall, he's for one, I think his character and the way that he handles things is such a huge testament to why you have belief in him and why everyone thinks so fondly of him. There aren't many players that could do what he did last year and endure it and keep their optimism and come in every day and continue to work and look at it and say, okay, I know I'm sitting 70 plus games, but I'm going to come and take advantage of it. I'm going to do the things that they're asking me to do, and I'm going to do it and stay optimistic and positive and be a great teammate to everybody. And maybe he didn't necessarily feel that way when he went home, but when he was here, you saw a player that came every day despite the circumstances not being optimal and continued to work and stay positive and believe in himself. And when that happens, I think you build a number of fans. And it happened when he first came to the Marlies as well. He didn't play as much as probably he would have liked. And he's just become such an easy person to cheer for. And now that he's got my belief, Kristen, was that if he could get a solid run of play, that he would show everybody what he was capable of. And it's one of the situations where you're so happy for somebody because they have been able to come out and play the way that they've shown they can play for the organization in the past. And he stuck with it when many others wouldn't have. And he's been a very good player for us this year. So it's all credit to him and the development staff and the coaching staff for continuing to stick with it. And it's been fun to watch.
Kyle, overall, is it on Mike to get this team in the right spot or on the players?
I think whenever a team is at its best, or whenever a team is trying to find its way, or whenever a team is having a tough stretch, it's on the collective. It's not up to any one person or any one player, any one coach or any one person, one member of the front office. It's up to the collective group to forge its way through. I think that's what makes the most successful organizations is having that, Terry. And so I don't look at it being on any one person, but all of us collectively to pull in the right direction. And like I said, even last night in the game, we show what we're capable of when we're at our best. And I think it's up to all of us to continue to work and push for us to get there and show everyone what we're all about on a nightly basis.
When you put this team together, Kyle, can you point to a game this year where it's come closest to sort of realizing the vision you imagined?
St. Louis, I think, would be the one. It's obviously a championship team that was at full strength at that time. They had all of their players, I believe, in the lineup and were healthy. And I know we didn't win the game, but I think in terms of the way that we played, stuck with the way that we want to play, stuck with the system, that was probably the best one, Dave, where I felt, where you get affirmation that, okay, this is the way that we're built. We know that there's going to be times when it doesn't look great because we're still evolving and growing, but we can play against a team that's built that way and play that way for 60 plus minutes or 60 minutes and have a night like that. So that would be the one game, I think, where it all came together best. There have been a few other games where we've played relatively well or very good, but that would be the one I guess I would point to.
How would you describe the identity of the team then, ideally?
I would say it's still in formation. We're still trying to. It's not a finished product by any stretch, and we're still trying to get there. But I think what we're aiming to get towards is a team built on speed, built on talent, creativity, but also tenacious when we don't have the puck, like we saw at stretches last night when they would get the puck back. We were right on them right away, not allowing them really to even get into our zone, and that's really what I think when you point to what you want the team to be about. And I think when you talk about that, Mark, you're saying what do teams think when they're walking into your building, and we want to shift it away from the questions to the established Stanley Cup winning players of what do the Leafs need to do to, here's what they are and here's what we can expect, and we're right there. And I think it's on us to get there for sure. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.